4 of 5 from the free throw line. And then again, Toronto will get possession. Even though Green had possession when he called timeout, you lose possession with the excessive timeout. Now they just have to inbound the ball, and the celebration will be underway. Throws it into Leonard. That's it. It's over. The Raptors win. There's a new NBA. Oh, they call a foul. Yes.
You're still coaching.
Crowd still here hoping for a miracle. Also here to cheer on. Leonard makes it official. Now the Warriors just inbound, and that's it. There's a new NBA champion, and it's a team from Toronto, Canada.
With the first pick in the 2019 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Zion Williamson from Duke University.
The Pelicans have agreed to finally trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers.
Breaking news on the Jump Free Agency Special. Oh yes, nobody is waiting till 6 o'clock Eastern. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that Kevin Durant is in fact headed to Brooklyn to join Kyrie Irving and DeAndre Jordan.
Our final topic of the day, Kemba Walker is leaving Charlotte and will sign a 4-year deal with the Celtics.
According to Adrian Wojnarowski, Miami is finalizing a sign and trade with Philadelphia to acquire Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler, there we go. That domino has fallen. Oh.
Five-time All-Star Al Horford has agreed to a 4-year, $109 million deal with the 76ers.
Whoa, and there.
Got some breaking news on SportsCenter. The NBA stealing all the headlines again. Our man Adrian Wojnarowski reporting Russell Westbrook on his way to Houston.
Kawhi is officially a Clipper.
Boogie and the Brow has been rescued from the cancellation bin.
Alright everybody, now we ain't got no time for an intro, so let's get straight into it. For the last couple or so weeks, we've been witness to one of the most historic NBA off seasons, if not sports off seasons and free agency of all time. We've seen teams rise and fall through the power rankings and completely change overnight, completely change the dynamic of the league, the dynamic that teams use when they're building their teams around in the last couple of weeks. We have seen mentalities, we have seen cultures completely change over these last 2 weeks. And I want to talk to y'all about it. Now, everything started obviously with the Toronto Raptors winning the championship. Kawhi Leonard, the Claw, bringing down yet another dynasty in Golden State. We have seen him do this before with the Miami Heat in 2014. A team that he single-handedly really took down. The San Antonio Spurs were not really able to take down the Miami Heat until Kawhi Leonard took the next step and became an elite defender, became actually a player that needs to be respected in the league. When he took that step, they won the championship. They took down the Miami Heat, the dynasty that was the Miami Heat. Fast forward to 2019, we see the same thing. Kawhi Leonard gets traded to the Raptors. In that same season, in that one season, Kawhi Leonard took a team that has never made it to the finals, to the NBA championship. He single-handedly took that team, changed their whole mentality, changed their whole perspective on what it means to win, on what it means to be a leader. He took them and he beat the unbeatable quote-unquote Warriors in 6 games. You may argue, yes, there were some problems with injuries for the Warriors, but nonetheless, they won. And right after that, we got to the NBA draft. Some saw one of the most hyped players that we have ever seen be hyped get drafted. I'm really excited to see him and the rest of his class play for the next 10 years. And even though we saw those two things, those really two probably historic moments in history, 20 years from now, we might look back on this and look at Zion Williamson getting drafted like we see Michael Jordan, Hakeem, and LeBron get drafted. Who knows? But Kawhi Leonard started a ripple effect on the NBA that has probably changed the way teams have thought about their rosters in the last 10 years. Kawhi Leonard is one of the very few players that has been able to win a championship without any other superstar, without any other star. Dirk did it. Chauncey did it. Who else can you really name that has really won a championship by themselves without any other real superstars on the team? And I would argue Chauncey Billups wasn't a superstar when he won a championship in Detroit. After seeing that, most teams went out and completely gave up on the idea of trying to build a super team. We no longer have teams clearly building around a big three. We are seeing a lot of dynamic duos. We see duos of players being signed. Now, the first big one, obviously, is going to be the Lakers. The Lakers got Anthony Davis, who is arguably a top 10 player in the league. And 2 years ago, he was unarguably a top 5 player in the league. People were saying he was probably the best player in the league. Now, he's teaming up with LeBron James, who, to me, is the second best player of all time. And right now, he probably still is the best player in the league. That's 2 top 10 talents in the same team. One of them being the best one, and the second one probably with the potential of being a top 20 player of all time. After them, you don't really see any sort of real star power. The next duo that we saw get built was in Brooklyn. We actually saw Kevin Durant leave the Golden State Warriors, leave the team that he actually left, the team that drafted him, the team that made him the player he is in Oklahoma. He left them to Golden State, and then he leaves Golden State to go to Brooklyn. Alongside Kevin Durant, we saw Kyrie Irving leave Boston, leave a team that in the beginning of the season he had promised to stay with. They both leave their respective teams and they team up in Brooklyn trying to win a championship there with the two of them. Obviously, we did see DeAndre Jordan, who's arguably an all-star talent, but he's not really what I would consider a big three, an all-star big three. Remember, he was probably what Kyle Korver was to that 60-win Atlanta Hawks team. The other big move we saw was Kemba Walker going to the Celtics. Kemba Walker, unarguably the best Hornet of all time, leaving the team that's drafted him as well, leaving the Supermax on the table, going to Boston, trying to win a championship, trying to get into that atmosphere, trying to get into a bigger market, leaving Michael Jordan behind. Again, after Kemba, Jason Tatum, you don't see a big three. Another big move. Horford going to the Sixers, Butler going to Miami, Josh Richardson getting traded to Philadelphia. It was really one of the best moves in free agency. An all-star leaving a team that really loved him, going for the money, going to a team that wants to make him the main focus. And then Al Horford, a veteran, leaving his team, the team that really has made him establish himself as an all-star talent, has made people aware of how good of a player he is, where he ranks amongst centers and big men in the league right now and all time. Because in my opinion, he's a top 10, maybe top 5. He's definitely a top 10, maybe top 5 center in the league right now. And most people don't really see that, and I think Boston really helped people see how good of a player Al Horford is. Now he's getting paid, going to Philadelphia, trying to win a championship there. And Philadelphia, a lot of people have them as the best team in the league, especially after how they took the Raptors to 7 games last year. They've risen through the power rankings, and in no short responsibility to Al Horford. Al Horford really helped that team rise to the rankings right there. The biggest signing of the summer, Kawhi and PG going to the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard, the man who started all of this, could have stayed in Toronto. More than likely, he could have stayed in Toronto, run it back with the same team, and he probably would have had a really good chance of staying there. And for the first time in probably the last 10 years, we actually saw the championship team completely fall down, probably out of the playoff picture in the power rankings, all the way down to number 16 in some people's boards. It's amazing what Kawhi has done for players and for the NBA in general. Kawhi Leonard has taken the power into his own hands. He says, no, I do what I want to do. I want to play in my hometown. I want to play in a big market. So I'm just going to the Clippers. He doesn't think, he is really proving that players have a lot of power, that players can do what they believe is most beneficial to them. Because when you see a player get traded, most of what you hear is, oh, it's all business. Oh, it's all business. It doesn't really matter. Loyalty is really not demanded from a team. We see loyalty being demanded from the players. Kawhi Leonard has really proven that this is a business in both sides of the court, both sides of the basketball. So much as for the team and the team owner as it is for the players. They need to go where they believe they can get the most out of their careers. We saw one of the best centers in this league, a player that was unarguably the best center in the league 2-3 years ago, DeMarcus Cousins, going for a really low contract to the Lakers, teaming up with Anthony Davis once again. Then we saw Russell Westbrook, a player that has been the franchise player in Oklahoma for as long as we can remember. As long as he's been there, he's been an important piece of Oklahoma. Get shipped out of there to Houston in exchange for Chris Paul, who again, a player who was considered top 10 not too far from now. Remember, 5 years ago, Chris Paul was unarguably the best player, the best point guard in the game, and we see him get traded alongside picks. Chris Paul got traded alongside picks, which means that Chris Paul by himself was not valued that much. This offseason has really set off a bomb in sports and basketball in general. You know, just basketball and sports in general will never be the same after this offseason, because Kawhi Leonard showed that if you're good enough, if your team has the right mentality, if you take power into your own hands and don't let anyone else distract you, don't let the outside noise distract you, you can really succeed in this world, in sports. The Toronto Raptors were a second round exit in 2018. They traded for Kawhi Leonard and won the championship in 2019. Less than a month later, Kawhi Leonard leaves them for Los Angeles. He took the bull by the horns and just rode him straight to the Clippers. He rode him straight to the Staples Center. The NBA next year will be the most balanced it's been in the last 30 years. We have never seen an NBA season where unarguably the top 10 teams in the league could all very well win the championship. We have never seen that. We've seen the 96 Bulls. They were really the favorite all 6 of those years that they won it. We saw teams that the Lakers met with Magic Johnson, the Celtics with Larry Bird. Those were really the 2 teams that made it to the finals every single year. We have never seen a season where it was so hard to determine who will win the championship next year. We have never seen a season, an off season, where you can look at the free agent market and not be able to tell who's going where. Next season will be a really special one. It's going to be hard, really hard to see teams getting in the 60s, getting in the high 50s. We will see teams that were probably supposed to be really good, teams like the Lakers, teams like the Sixers, fall to probably number 5, number 6 because of things like chemistry, simply being 2 games behind the 1 seed. Kawhi Leonard snapped his fingers and he made everything balanced, as it should be. Thank you guys for sticking around with me. Like the video if you liked it, unlike it if you didn't, subscribe if you love me. Peace!